Oh, today, guys, I got another video for you today. Thanks for coming back to my channel, Rum Mania. I'm Carol J, and today the video is called Lighten the Load, and I'll see you on the next shot. Oh, today, guys, how y'all doing? Carol J. Thanks for coming back to Rum Mania. This video today is Lighten the Load. This is going to be a quick video. I just wanted to put it out as a way to help you lighten the load or help you be aware to lighten the load. It's a saying. It's a saying that we've all heard before, I'm sure. So the way I'm speaking about lighten the load is more of a mental aspect of lighten the load, because we all know if you're carrying too much stuff, if you carry too much stuff, you're going to need to lighten the load. It's so funny because when I was a kid, my mom and dad, they would go to the grocery store. And so when they came back from the grocery store, with the kids, they would be like, y'all go get the groceries. And so we would always have to go get the groceries. And the goal was for us not to make more than one trip. So as kids, being silly, we was like, we gonna carry all the bags at once. They go, so we would all have our arms out. And so it would be one person like loading the bags like on the arms. So we would load the bags on our arms because we did not want to come back twice. It was like, we're going to get all these bags in one load, So it was so funny, like lighten the load, because we did the exact opposite, because we was determined. We made it a game. We was like, okay, we're going to carry all of this in one load. Sometimes it worked and sometimes it didn't. And it was so funny because as my kids was, when they was kids and I would go to the store and I would say the same thing. I would be like, get them groceries at the car. And they was the same way. One time I seen my daughter come in the door. She had all these bags in both hands. I was like, I didn't think she can carry that much, but now I know. So I said, well, why are you carrying all them bags like that? Why can't you just take one at a time? She said, the goal is to get one trip. And I never told her, like, that's what we did as kids. So I think it's just a kid thing. I don't know if y'all did that when y'all was kids, but when I think of lighten the load, I laugh because as a kid, kids, we just have fun. We be like, well, how can we do this? You know how many things we done broke from the grocery store, trying to carry all the bags at once, not knowing that we didn't have this bag right. So now the pickle jar done broke, which is not good, not a good smell to be smelling all the time, especially when you're not eating pickles. Anyway. So to have my daughters doing the same thing, like they had that same game going on, I was like, man, I tell you, kids, we just find a way to have fun, which is a good thing. We always supposed to be having some fun. Hey, look, that's another way to lighten the load, having fun. When you can laugh about things, I absolutely believe that's a way to lighten the load, because ain't no sense in having a frown of all the time, because if you can't, if you can joke about a situation, even if it's serious, if you can joke about it, it's going to lighten it up a little bit, because you can't frown and smile at the same time. You can't do it. I don't know. You can't frown. Yeah, you can't frown and smile at the same time. I just don't think it's possible, and when you smile, it automatically changes your body structure, as opposed to when you frowning and you mean mugging, when you laughing or even smiling. So even if you don't want to do, okay, this is number one, lighten the load, smile. That's number one, lighten the load, to smile. So I'm already lighting the load, because I don't even really have that many notes for this one, but I'm just going to speak off the cuffs because I didn't write that many notes for this one. So this is number one, smile or laugh. Find a way to laugh. I don't care if you got to find funny animal videos on social media, a good way, because once again, I'm speaking on the mental aspect of lighting the load, because usually that is where we carry a lot of our baggage in our minds. So much baggage in our minds. Lighten the load. Now, this is a brief lighten the load video, but lighten the load in the aspect of speaking on the mind can go deep. real deep on lighten the load as far as in the mental. I'm not going that deep today. This is just a clear, just a quick lighten the load, lighten the load video. lighten the load video. Anyway, but the first one is to smile. Think about a game that you used to do as a kid that, you know, I thought about lighten the load because it was about carrying the groceries in a car, from the car, and trying to do it all in one shot. So crazy. Anyway, well, we had fun though. It was fun, and it just cracked me up because when my daughter told me that, I was like, oh my God, we used to do the same thing. Nobody wants to keep going back to the car to get groceries. I don't know why that is such an irritation, but it is, to keep going back. All you can think about when you get groceries back to the house is, I had to take all them bags in the house. Be like, man, can I take them all at once? That's why now that they got like ordering your stuff and people delivering it, sometimes you will order stuff just because you ain't got to carry nothing in. Because you ain't got to carry nothing in the house. You ain't got to take it out the car. You know, I don't order because that's ludicrous. You know, if I had to, I would, but I haven't had to order anything yet. But, you know, I know iCart, I think it's iCart, is something. They got so many ordering things now. But anyway, smile. Have some fun. Be playful like a child. Like, you know, that's the first step in lighten the load. The next one that I have, and this is short. I think I only have 5 or 4. The next one that I have, and I didn't write this down. I was going to say, if we're going to talk about a physical, and I'm going to go over this real quick because mine is mental. My lighten the load, I had the intention on it being for the mental. So, but if it's physical, like if you're somewhere and you're like working a lot and you are tired and you feel like you're doing a lot, like you're working and you have to figure out a way to maybe get a schedule. Sometimes when we write stuff down and we do stuff at certain times, if we know the times that we do stuff, maybe we won't. Because, you know, I got a bad habit of, you know, I'll do something and I'll do it for a long time. Whereas if I would have wrote down a schedule and say, I'm only going to do this from this to this time, at least at the time I said I was going to stop, at least I could take a break. Even if I decide to go further, at least I could take a break. You know, sometimes I don't take a break and I just work all the way through. So this is the advice for me to lighten the load. Maybe I can write stuff down. Write down times, like set a time to do certain things so it feel like it's broken up, you know. As far as for like work, sometimes you can have a job or whatever that's heavy. It is heavy, and take time off. And if those things are they're not working, then that's when you need to write this issue down and do the pros and the cons and see if it's a possibility for you to leave that job, you know, because if you got a job and it's a lot of work, because I know some jobs they say, well, you got to work mandatory, you know, overtime, this, that, and the other. Well, there's not even a question or concern about what's going on at home. You know, just because your job said you got to work mandatory don't mean that stuff at home is still not going on. So with having to work and do other things at home, your load could be pretty heavy. And so, you know, ask for help. A lot of times sometimes we have a lot of pride. We be like, oh, I could do it all myself. Sometimes maybe ask for help. You know, you never know what somebody be willing to help you with, you know, depending on what it is. Ask for help. This could be a mental thing too. You know, a lot of times we have things on our mind and we may not know how to deal with it. But, you know, because in your mind, sometimes it's just roaming, it's just floating around. But if you ask for help, recognize you, motivation. I help you discover you. I help you recognize you, you know. So, you know, that's what I do. Mania. But yes, ask for help. You be surprised, or sometimes you can tell people what's going on, or, you know, what mentally is going on in your mind that's creating like the load, and they can give you maybe some good advice. Recognize your motivation. Give you some good advice, Carol J. Yeah, they can give you some good advice to help you lighten the load. So something that you may have thought was heavy and that you're holding on to, maybe you won't have to hold on it to some more because you are asking for help. And it's okay. I mean, what good is having so many people in the world with so many different talents, skills, and abilities if you don't ask for to utilize the abilities and the talents that they have. You know, that's ludicrous, you know, to have the help right there and you don't utilize it. So if there is something, I know I was talking about the job, same thing for a job. If you got to be home to do some, you know, maybe you got a neighbor, a family member, a friend, or somebody you can say, well, can you do that for me? Because they got me working overtime. You never know. You might have a friend and be like, oh, yeah, I could swing by your house. You know, that's nothing. It's on my way, you know. So ask for help. Ask for help, you know, whether it's the physical. And I wasn't really doing physical because I'm on mental, but that's some advice for you there. Ask for help. You never know who may be able to provide you with the help that you need, because a closed mouth don't get fed, you know. That's what they say. That's the way I always heard it, you know. And that means if you don't ask for help, you're going to hold on to that heavy load. So ask for help. And this, now I'm going to go right into mental. Yeah, there's a lot of things that go through our mind that we, in my version, think over. Other people would say overthink about, that just keeps roaming and circling in our mind. And we're going to get more thoughts. Like, we have some thoughts in our mind. We're going to get more thoughts because as soon as we go outside, there's another thought to worry about. More information is going to come. And so if we haven't resolved like the first bit of information, we can't get overloaded with information. So to lighten the load, think about asking for help, you know, talking to somebody, maybe talking to somebody that you trust first, that may be close to you. And if that doesn't work, you know, go see somebody who has the special skills, talents, and abilities to maybe help you lighten the load. But by yourself, now I'm going to get to what I wrote down. By yourself, you can lighten the loads with yourself, because a lot of the loads that we have is the internal talk that we have with ourselves. And as I looked this up, this is called internal dialogue. Internal dialogue is dialogue that we have internally. You know, how can you hear yourself? Can you hear yourself inside? This is such a conundrum to me. This is a conundrum. And I can't remember who I was, but it was where I heard it from, but it was a speaker, and they said it was like, okay, we hear, like, I'm speaking to you now, so you hear my voice, right? So, but at the same time, I can still talk to myself and still hear myself without using my voice. Isn't that like a conundrum? Is that not a conundrum to y'all? That is called internal dialogue. And another thing I found out, everybody don't necessarily have it in a appropriate capacity. I would say that in a measurable capacity. I would say that in the same measured capacity. I would say internal dialogue, everybody doesn't have it in the same measured capacity, whereas one person can have an internal conversation with themselves and kind of figure things out internally without even using their mouth. They can use their mind. Somebody else would not be able to do that, because the mind would either I don't know what they said. The mind would either maybe have a short attention span for the internal dialogue, or the mind would like flip flop, or the mind would instantly go to, I think it was distraction. Like the internal dialogue would get distracted and they wouldn't be able to finish the thought through. I'm not actually 100%, but I found it to be fascinating about the internal dialogue. But the internal dialogue I'm talking about is the self-talk that we have with ourselves. Now, this may not be solving like a whole bunch of problems that you may have, but it is talking to yourself internally. Like, how do you talk to yourself? And this one, the one I'm talking about, you can use the internal dialogue as well as the vocal dialogue in conjunction with each other. So you can say, you know, I think I'm great, inside your head. And you can confirm that with your mouth. You can say inside your head, I think I'm great. Or hold on, I'm going to say it. I do think I'm great. You know, see how easy that was? I said it inside of my head, my internal dialogue, and then I said it out loud with my mouth. I confirmed with myself. And so I made sure what I said was positive so that it can be reinforced when I say it with my mouth. And so this is what we can do to sometimes lighten the load, because a lot of time that internal dialogue is speaking to the opposite of positive. It's speaking to the negative, where your internal dialogue can be like, oh, my phone is going dead, y'all. So I'm going to make it real quick because here we go. Okay, so this is internal dialogue. Sometimes that internal dialogue can speak to the negative of you, which makes things more heavy. So if you say, oh, I want to do this, that you can't do all that. I don't know why you're trying to do all that. You ain't going to be able to do all that. You ain't going to be able to work and go to school, this, that, and that. You might as well give it up. You might as well forget about it. As opposed to saying, you know, if we just structure it right, maybe we can take like one class a week and, you know, and finish that class. Then we can take another class and we can do it while we still work. You know, though that's a better internal dialogue than saying, you ain't going to be able to do all that. Why would you even try to do all that? You know, you ain't going to do all that. So I don't even need to try. You need to forget it. Give that up. You know, that internal dialogue is like sabotaging you, which is creating a weight, because now you may be back to in that job physically that's creating a load. Whereas if you get the education, the information, the knowledge, the wisdom that you need, you can leave that job. Now you done did kill two birds with one stone. You done talk positive internally and externally with yourself, and you done lighten the load physically with your body. So now that you getting better every day, day by day, you're getting better and better. So this one is about internal speaking to yourself. Try to use that internal dialogue. Try to use that internal dialogue as your friend. Make your internal dialogue your friend. In other words, make your internal dialogue say nice things to you. Make it say nice things to you, because guess who controls your internal dialogue? You. And there's enough people out there in the world that's willing to criticize you, that's willing to talk about you, willing to make your mental load heavier. You might as well use your internal dialogue for your benefit and make it speak nice to you. And the way I say that is make it like your friend. So just imagine if you seen like a small child by themselves and they were crying and they were upset, this, that, and the other. How would you go? And nobody else around. Nobody else was around but you. And you were the only one that can go to this child and speak to them and get them, you know, calm down, because they are upset. Because as a kid, sometimes the load can be heavy and they don't know no better. They're a kid, you know. Not having ice cream is an overload for them. So anyway, so you see a kid and you're the only one that can help them. You're going to go over. How would you talk to them? How would you make them feel? How would you make them feel better? And what if they were talking negative? Like, I never had, you know, well, how would you make them feel better? How would you make them feel good about themselves? The same way that you would see a toddler or a younger person and you would speak to them, I'm pretty sure it would be like nice. It would be sweet. It would be encouraging. It would be like beneficial. It would be like supporting. The same way, when you think about your internal dialogue, think about your internal dialogue as a little kid. Think about how you would speak to that little kid if they was distraught, distressed, or, you know, not feeling the best, had a heavy load. So they think, you know, that's one way. You got to tell your mind, your internal dialogue, how to speak to you. Make it speak to you with kindness and kind words, supporting words, nurturing words, you know, and you can do that. And if you got to use that child analogy to make it your internal dialogue speak nice to you, wouldn't you encourage a child? If you was on a team, if you had a child that was on a team, a sports team, and they was like, I can't do it. You know, they wanted to play soccer. And they was like, I can't do it. I can't do it. I'm not good enough. You are going to say you can do it. You need to try. Well, that's the same way that you need to support yourself and motivate yourself and encourage yourself and talk to yourself, internal dialogue, to lighten the load within your mind. And that's pretty much all I have. I just want to do a quick video on lighten the load because, once again, I am promoting my book, Up Veo. All the information is in the description box below. It's going to help you. It's going to give you great insight, great wisdom, and great ways to lighten the load. So get the book. I'm going to say goodbye for now because my phone gave me a notice that it is going dead. And until the next video, I'll say ochite. Talk to you later. Mwah.